So on this 2005 Pontiac Vibe, I lifted the floor mat up to do some work and noticed this giant rust spot here on the floorboard. You can see it's actually rusted through this top layer here. The problem is the rust probably extends under this factory installed sound deadening material, so I need to remove it. I could try to take a putty knife and chip it away, but that would take forever. I could use a grinding wheel, but that would just plug it up and make a smoky mess. So instead, I got some dry ice, and what I'm going to do is crumb it up, set it on top of the sound deadening material here, and then use like a mover's blanket to get it down to temperature. Then I should be able to at least pry it off pretty easy, or maybe take a soft mallet hammer and try to tap it and pop it loose. The only danger is the car has paint and undercoating underneath, so if I hit it on top I take a chance of damaging the undercoating. So I want to be careful, and I'll probably just use a putty knife here and try to work it free. So you can kind of hear the dry ice working there as it cracks. I did one piece at a time here, just kind of crumbed it up, and right now it's been on there for about a minute, and you can still hear it as it's working on the sound deadening material. So as it contracts, it's freeing itself. So the dry ice is about negative 70 Fahrenheit, which is about negative 55 centigrade. So it won't take too long, and I'll try in a little bit here to kind of lift it up on the corner and see what I can do. I bought about 8 pounds to do this area, and right now I got about a third of it in there, so we'll see how long it lasts. Okay, so it didn't take very long, about 2 minutes now, and I've been able to take the putty knife, and I can start chipping the pieces away, and it's actually coming up real nice here in nice chunks. So this worked a lot better than I had expected here with that much floor traffic, but it's coming up real good. There, a whole big chunk. That would have probably taken 15-20 minutes with a grinding wheel, and that came off all by itself. Okay, so I got that first section done. I'm just going to move the dry ice here to the forward. Now I'm wearing double layer gloves because, again, this stuff is super cold. But you can see that it did its job. It froze that right up. So I don't even have to hammer on it. So I'm just going to move the dry ice up here to the next spot I want to work on. And you can see how humid it is right now, but all the small pieces are evaporating. So what I've been doing is just taking the bigger chunks, tapping them against each other, and that makes enough small fragments there that they lay nice and flat on the sound deadening material. And yeah, a lot easier than trying to grind it off. And you can see there on this piece, that was the concern I had, is that the rust had crept under the sound deadening material. So it's good to get this stuff out of here, and then I'll be able to treat the rust correctly. Only about 5 minutes into the project. I got it on the last section here. Ran into some difficulty on this seam. It appears the glue underneath is actually bonded to the sound dampening material, so I'll probably end up having to grind this off. I've chipped away at it. I've gotten most of it off. The other surprise was I didn't expect to find the service panel here, so when I tried to pry the sound dampening material off, I ran into it with the putty knife here, so you have to watch out for anything that might be hidden under the sound dampening material. And with that crack, it sounds like I'm about ready to pick off the last piece. Alright, here are about 15 minutes into the project. I've got the sound deadening material off that I wanted. Up here under the pedals, it became quite tough to get off. I don't know if that's because the engine heat had worked it and allowed the glue to melt to the metal or what, but it got harder the further up the firewall I went, as well as where this glue bead here was where the two body panels met. So other than those two difficult spots, the rest of it pretty much just popped up like I expected, and then this spot over here where the panels are. So you can see what I got here, nice big chunks, and the piece that we were looking after, there's a couple of these where the rust had crept under it. With the sound dampening material removed, we can begin to assess the metal. Here you can see it's just rusted through. Here it's just flat out shot. With the two service panels removed, you can see the drain plugs in there and how it's rusted around them. It's pretty cavernous in here, so there's a lot of surface area in here we need to figure out how to treat. And it runs all the way through this area back to these drain plugs. Here it's just a flat stamped piece of metal, so the best we can do is just kind of clean it up and treat it. But we really need to figure out also how to get into these pockets here to treat them to prevent the rust from spreading into other parts of the floor pan. I've done the same thing here on the passenger side. The factory sound dampening material wasn't placed right. It had a big wrinkle in it, so I had to lift it off anyway. So now I've gotten these two service doors free, and you can see the amount of rust here, especially up here by this drain plug, and then down here. So again, we're going to have to pull those plugs out, figure out what we can do to clean that mess up and treat the rust.